You are listening to the CAD Call podcast. This is the place where computer-aided design and drafting meets humor and practicality, with a touch of business acumen thrown in for fun. Jim and Rocco, the owners of Zentech Consultants, the premier U.S. technology consulting firm for architecture, engineering, construction, and manufacturing, discuss the fascinating world of CAD with some humor and some honesty. The CAD Call podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the CAD Call podcast. I'm your host, Jim Coppinger, and with me, as always, is my partner,
Rocco Parisi. Good morning, folks.
Good morning, Rocco. Rocco, Rocco, how long have we known each other now? It's close to 10 years now, right?
Oh, at least.
At least. I gotta laugh every time you introduce yourself. It's that you have got the world's most, it's like the most stereotypical Italian name on the planet. And it makes no sense because you are, without a doubt, you're the quietest, calmest, most gentle guy that I know. But every time you introduce yourself, I just have this image of you as Luca Brasi, right? Standing in like a black pinstripe suit going, "Thank you, Godfather, for inviting me on the day of your daughter's wedding. May her first child be a masculine child." And I have your face on his body. It just makes me laugh every time. I don't know why. It's just one of them images that pop into my head. We all know that my brain doesn't function like a normal person, so I guess I just have to deal with it. All right, so what are we talking about today?
Just be nice, Jim. I know people.
And
there's a lot of concrete around.
Hey, look at this, right? I make one comment already. Rocco's ready to go to the mattresses. Look at this guy. Hey, what are you kidding me? Bada bing. I watched that movie way too much. Oh, goodness. All right, so let's get into today's topic. So, I know we're talking today about why can't you do civil survey work in a basic CAD system? Or can you? That's our topic. All right, so the standard belief is that you need to purchase a high-end vertical package, right? Like Civil 3D or one of the open roads, open site, one of the open systems from Bentley, or similar packages in order to do civil and survey work. All right. Now, I'm a big fan and a long-time user of those systems, right? And I spent a lot of my career arguing with CFOs and CIOs at the companies that I worked for that a 2D CAD system was not going to cut it for what we needed to do, right? And what I want to talk about today is whether or not I was right. Did we need to spend tens of thousands of dollars for extensive 3D civil design systems, or could we have worked in a much more affordable 2D system? So, for starters, let's set the stage on why I insisted that we had to have those civil 3D systems, right? So, the key to everything when you're working in the civil survey environment is elevations, right? Elevation is the king of all that we do, right? Every aspect of civil design, from developing the existing base maps to pipe and road slopes, final site grading and everything in between. It's all predicated on elevation controls. Right? We need to accurately identify, adjust, and design with real elevations for all of our objects. Right? So naturally we need a 3D system that incorporates elevation data into all of our objects. Right? Makes sense. Right. A 2D CAD system, like BricsCAD or AutoCAD, they're great drafting tools. But it was really limited on its ability to generate and work with 3D items. Yes, they can generate 3D solid models and things like that. But they're not designed to work with the myriad of slopes and angles and points that we work with in the civil world. Or at least that's what I thought back when I was fighting with all the senior management at my old jobs, which made me really popular. But I'm not so sure that that's true anymore. Okay, so Rocco, let me ask you this: Is this the vibe that you get, from our clients? I mean, are there folks out there in the civil and survey space working in basic CAD, or do they all focus on those big tools like Civil 3D?
Yeah, there are definitely folks that are still using base AutoCAD, but you know if you're on the map, if you're a player out there, if you're a big player, you're using a package like Civil 3D or MicroStation, and that's for sure.
Okay. All right. So, and that's kind of what I find as well. So, okay, as we get into this, I'm going to start here by pointing out, before Rocco jumps all over me, that I was not wrong about telling everybody they need to use 3D systems. At least I wasn't wrong at that time. And that's an important distinction. I don't like being wrong. Nowadays, though, there's really been a pretty marked change in the civil and software market. I think what's happened is that there's been a backlash against the major software houses and their top-end 3D packages. And it's partly because of price and folks being annoyed at being forced into paying recurring subscriptions. The software companies who work on this model, they're required to provide annual updates rather, in order to justify the annual fees that they charge. But they just haven't added any truly worthwhile tools to the major packages in a while, right? They're just kind of churning out whatever they have to in order to justify that fee. Here's a new thing. We added one thing, and it may be something really minor. And I think that's opened up a niche market where companies are looking for simpler, more user-friendly tools that can still keep us working with the elevation data, right? That third dimension that we need without breaking the budget. And there's a whole new slew of offerings out there in the CAD world that focus on civil and survey design, but instead of developing large, expensive, competitive products against those big names, these newer offerings are focusing on using the affordable 2D CAD drive engines, right, that are out there, and integrating themselves as overlay or partner-based civil survey design systems. The other important benefit, I think, to that approach is that since they're not locked into a predetermined core design process, a lot of these newer packages are cross-platform, meaning that they run on multiple CAD systems, and I think that gives a lot of flexibility for designers to work with the CAD system that they want or own, and even worry less about compatibility, right? And at the end of the day, right, if the civil system runs, if the civil add-on that you're putting in place runs in different CAD systems, right, then the file that it's working in, it has to open in those CAD systems without any type of conversions, right? So, Rocco, I know that we have talked about this before on this podcast, right? But how much of an issue is it for our clients who are dealing with those recurring annual licenses? Do you find that they're just bugged by the cost, or is it the lack of usable tools and the struggle of upgrading every year that's frustrating them the most?
Yes.
Well, good answer.
Yeah, I mean, all of the above. It's becoming a growing frustration. A growing issue. I mean, there was a recent article that was put out in one of the major AAC magazines where a good number of the big architectural firms that have gotten together and wrote a letter to Andrew Agonost, is it, with Autodesk?
Yes, yeah.
And they are not happy with where Autodesk is taking the software. A lot of folks feel like they're hostages, to the software. I mean, Autodesk puts out fantastic products. I mean, don't get me wrong, but we're in a huge downturn in the economy, and firms need to cut costs, and large and small, and so I think the topic that we're talking about today is definitely interesting because it's posing kind of a disruption in this whole process. That people want to hear what else is out there and want to look at what else is out there.
Yeah.
So
No, I agree 100%. Yeah, I saw that article. That was pretty intense. Some of the biggest names in the industry are like, "Yeah, you got to stop just putting your hand in our pockets because you can." It's like, woo, there's some angry folks out there. So,
yeah,
all right, so the idea, kind of that we're talking of overlay systems for 2D CAD, it's not a new one. Right? It's been around for decades. But I think that there's really a big difference with these new civil survey overlays. These new systems, they've been developed with the idea of providing not just similar or matching, but better functionality than those big name design packages. We've seen a slew of really powerful tools that have been designed by active civil and survey users, right? Instead of by corporate marketing managers who are looking at how to increase sales on one of their lagging products, right? Getting into systems like civil site design and BricsCAD, both of which we're going to talk about in the second half of today's podcast. They focused on building smarter, faster, more user-friendly tools that have been suggested and vetted by end users, by real people. And to my mind, that's what makes the biggest difference. Right? In my opinion, software development should always be driven by the needs of the user and not by the market cap and share price valuation concerns, right? So that's my own 2 cents for that. All right, so I think that's enough of me standing up on my soapbox and yelling about how things should be. All right, so I think this is a good spot for us to stop and hear from today's sponsor. All right, we'll be back in just a few minutes, folks, with more of the Cattle Call Podcast. All right, Rocco. Today's Cattle Call Podcast is brought to us courtesy of Civil Site Design, one of the coolest new tools to hit the site engineering and development systems in the last decade. Civil Site Design is an absolutely brilliant tool. It allows you to go in and develop gradings, roadway designs, intersection designs, cul-de-sac designs, and just about anything you need to do in the civil site world. And it does it in Civil 3D, AutoCAD, and in BricsCAD. Any system that you're working in, Civil Site Design is going to make your day-to-day workflow run a whole lot easier and a whole lot faster. It's one of the most amazing tools I have seen in a very, very long time. So we are Zentech Consultants, and we are reps who sell, support, and train you on the Civil Site Design package. And we hope you guys will hit our website and see what we got. So Rocco, how do people get involved with the Civil Site Design package and find out more about it?
Yeah, you'll definitely want to hit our website. It's zentechconsultants.net. We offer a pretty wide variety of webinars and videos and a good amount of information. And we're also happy to set up a one-on-one demo for your team, talk about it some more, show you the product in action. So again, zentechconsultants.net, or give us a call, 866-824-4459.
Excellent. The Civil Site Design, one of the best packages for the site and civil world out there. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Cattle Call Podcast. And today we are discussing the possibilities of using civil and survey design tools in what we normally consider a 2D CAD environment, and if that's a worthwhile pursuit. So what I've seen in the last few years here are really two major groups of thought developing to battle the big, Autodesk and Bentley civil offerings. The first group is what I call the overlayers. These are civil and survey software systems that are designed to plug into and run on top of other CAD systems. Using popular 2D CAD systems as their drive engine, with the intent of giving you better, faster, smarter tools to complete your civil and survey design. The key for the overlayers is that they're offering powerful civil design tools that are almost platform neutral. Right? That means if you or your clients are working with multiple CAD systems and on multiple releases, right, then an overlay package may be the perfect answer for you. So like most of these overlays offer you access to multiple versions that install on top of different CAD systems. And I think a perfect example of that is civil site design, or CSD. Right? Just because civil site design is just so long to say, we just call it CSD around here. It runs inside of basic AutoCAD, BricsCAD, and even inside of Civil 3D itself. Right? You can even download and install previous versions with your license. Okay, and those licenses are still offered as desktop licenses, by the way. They're not forcing you with the annual things we've talked about there earlier. But you can get and install the older versions for compatibility with a myriad number of different combinations of systems and versions. And that that I think is important. So am I right, Rocco? I mean, how important is that to our client base, right? How many of our civil and survey people are working with multiple CAD systems and multiple releases?
Oh, yeah. Tons. I mean, we definitely see it. And you'd be surprised at how far back people are, so there's definitely a lot of variability.
Yeah. I actually was talking with a guy just the other day, a client who is actually still working on not a year version of AutoCAD, but he's working on AutoCAD Release 13. That was before they started numbering them with years, right? Which is, going back to like 2006, I think. I mean, yeah, he's like 15 years out of date, but the software works and he's working with it. So, yeah, it's not an uncommon setup that we do run across here. So, so let's stay with civil site design for a minute, right? And the overlay concept. This software, it not only gives you basic elevation controls for points and surfacing, but it's actually developed and incorporated road design and vertical pipe and road editors that, to my mind, are way better than anything offered by those big name systems. Right? Look, in CSD, I can choose 10 different alignments, right? And just the alignments, right? And have the software handle the road design, the curb returns, the intersections, and build the 3D surface of that roadway in just seconds. Literally seconds. I can open up a real-time, easy-to-use editor, right? And adjust the slopes and the curves for the sag and the crest with no problems. It's an interactive design, right? That updates on screen as I'm working with it. It makes it real easy. And that's the type of user-friendly functionality that I'm talking about. And on the survey side, right? The same company who developed CSD, they offer a package called Stringer Topo, right? And it can handle all your field data conversions, point import. It automates, drafting of your survey base map in a field to finish format, right? That creates 2D line work for your plans, 3D break lines for your surfaces, and it'll actually build your surface all on point import automatically, right? Now, you think about that, right? If you're a Civil 3D or you use one of the Bentley open systems, think about the multiple processes and the multiple steps that you need to go through to achieve all of those items I just talked about, right? Oh, and just for fun, right? CSD also imports and exports land XML files, right? And it has native functionality built into it to convert your surfaces and your roads into Civil 3D compatible tins and corridors. So it like I said, it's platform neutral. It's going to let you work with whatever systems you need and interact with people on whatever software they're using, right? And that's amazing for a low cost overlay package. So Rocco, what have we seen a good response to a system like Civil Site Design, or do you still run up against people who are afraid to change from those big name systems, right? And if so, what is it that you think they're really worried about in changing?
Yeah, we're definitely starting to see a disruption. More of an interest around solutions like this. I think they're they're resistant to change because they're resistant to change, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, but you gotta, going back to what I was saying before with the article, right? And people complaining about Autodesk. Well, I had this discussion with someone yesterday, and it was like, well, if you're going to sit and complain about something that has a solution to it, then what's the point of complaining? I mean, there's a way out of the mess. There's a way out of the situation. It's just a matter of taking the time and really evaluating what your options are. I mean, they're afraid of change because it's a disruption of the workflow. It's a new way of working.
Mm-hmm.
But if that new way of working is going to ultimately lead to a better workflow, and it's going to save you money and help you be more productive in the end, it's worth it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely true, right? It's the same. It's like the people who don't vote who spend their days complaining about the government. Listen, if you don't vote, you don't get to complain. There's a way to change things, right? You go out and do it. So yeah, I mean that's a really good answer. I mean that's the truth, right? Sometimes you got to take that risk, or nothing can get better. So, all right. So I think the second family of new civil survey offerings are independent CAD systems. And the biggest one of these that we deal with here at Zentech is BricsCAD. And they have taken a different view of how to deal in the civil survey arena, right? So, with the last two releases of BricsCAD, you have had built-in a built-in core of civil tools, right? That lets you handle, point import, tin surface modeling, contouring, labeling, even grading design tools that are part of the basic BricsCAD system. All right, these tools are integrated right alongside their standard drafting and design processes. So that means that they don't really require a lot of training or your people to develop an entirely new workflow. Right, and to my mind, a huge benefit with this BricsCAD process, right, is that these civil and survey tools, they're essentially free. Like I said, they're part of the core CAD system installation, and there's no additional download and there's no additional fee for using them. Right, that means that you can buy a really solid 2D CAD system and have all the civil tools you need for basic work already at your fingertips. Right? Now, I say basic work for a reason. The BricsCAD civil tools, they're not on par with the big offerings quite yet, right? But they're getting there very, very quickly. So I mean, as of today, right? You can't do advanced road work, for example. But if you're doing, simple surveys, right, or subdivision site design work, you have everything that you need in the base BricsCAD system, right? And I think they understand it, right? So the folks at BricsCAD work really hard at making things, in their basic system. They're very easy to use, right, and very, very intelligent. And that's great. But I also think they're doing something from a business standpoint that is even smarter. They've opened up a huge partner database where smaller third-party developers can integrate their tools into the main CAD system in order to fill any missing design needs. And I think a perfect example of that is the partnership between BricsCAD and Civil Site Design, right? Both systems that we've been talking about here. Both of those systems are fully compatible with each other, and both of the companies are actively working together to provide an enhanced civil survey solution that works seamlessly, right? So like I said, not only are they really working with these third-party people, but they're giving you better tools at a lower price point than any of their big name competitors. And I don't know how you see any negatives in that, right? So all right, so Rocco, we do work with both of these systems. So when you're talking to people, what are the major business benefits that clients see in working with BricsCAD and civil site design?
I think one of the major business benefits is the fact that you can packages like these offer a perpetual one-time license. So you buy it, you own it for life. You have the option of annual maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to be stuck on that annual plan. If you want the annual plan, you can go with it. The other business benefit is the overall potential cost savings, and I say potential because I'm going to plug Zentech here for a few minutes. I mean, have a conversation with us, sit down with us. Let's show you guys the tools and look at the numbers. If it means a huge savings, it may be worth you making the change.
Mm-hmm.
It's not for everybody, and we'll be honest with you. I mean, we honestly do a lot of training and consulting for Civil 3D, but we also sell and support tools like Civil Site Design and Stringer Topo and BricsCAD. So they're not for everybody, but the potential business benefit could be the savings and the increase in productivity.
Yeah, I agree, especially with the increase in the productivity. Like I said, from the technical side, with a lot of folks, it really comes down to understanding that when you're working with these CAD systems rather than these kind of proprietary structures with their proxy objects and so on, that everything that you're dealing with here with BricsCAD and Civil Site Design, those items work in the same DWG file. That there's no conversions required, right? You're not, having to transfer and convert from one file format to another, and then this version to that version. It makes life a lot easier on the tech side as well. So, all right.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge point. I mean, let's face it. The CAD world is hugely based on DWG. Mm-hmm. So that's one big selling point that I talk to people about all the time.
Yep. And like I said, all of these newer systems, like I said, as being overlays and plugins, or at the very least, a system like BricsCAD that works in those native DWG formats, that makes a huge difference in your day-to-day work process. Saves you a lot of time and aggravation and potential lost data. So, all right. So, I think we can sum this conversation up by saying, most importantly, that, while I was correct at the time when I told my boss we needed Civil 3D, that times have actually changed, and that's no longer true. So we just want to point out that Jim was still never wrong. That's very important that we understand that. Look, at the end of the day, there are really beneficial ways that you can use 2D CAD, right, whatever package it is, in the civil and survey world. It's like Rocco said, it's about having the conversation and finding the package that works best for you, right? So I think with that, we'll wrap it up for today, right? And we will catch you all on the next podcast. Say goodbye, Rocco.
Goodbye, fine people.
All right, fine people. We'll catch you on the next Cattle Call podcast. All right, everybody. Today's Cattle Call was brought to you courtesy of Zentech Consultants. That's Rocco and I. Zentech Consultants works with design and manufacturing firms to help our clients purchase and implement the software that they need in these complex industries. We provide a single point of contact for clients to buy, develop, and learn the most vital software systems for your specific needs. Zentech strives to be your trusted technology partner from your initial needs all the way through long-term support and training for your entire staff. So Rocco, why don't you tell them how to reach out to Zentech?
All right, yeah, you can reach out to us through zentechconsultants.net. You can email us at sales@zentechconsultants.net, or you can even call us 866-824-4459.
Excellent. We look forward to hearing from you all.